Hardtail of the Year is the biggest and most important test in the MBR calendar, and for 2019, we've made it bigger and better than ever. By expanding the test down to include a new sub 375 pound category, we've increased the number of bikes by a whopping 25%. So instead of having 18 hardtails, we now have 24! Now if you're thinking, how does one person test 24 bikes? The simple answer is, they don't. By spreading our 24 hopefuls evenly across 4 key price points, 375 pound, 500 pound, 750 pound, and 1K, we break it down into bite-sized chunks. And with a dedicated test rider for each category, Hardtail of the Year really is 4 separate tests in one, which explains why we have 4 individual winners, one for each price point. After all, it just wouldn't be fair to compare a 350 pound bike to one costing almost 3 times as much. Now that you're familiar with the format of the test, let's take a quick look at the 4 standout bikes. The 1K category is always the most hotly contested, and 2019 was no exception. With cutting-edge geometry and fatter tyres, these bikes really are at the coalface of hardtail development. We had previous winners like the Wrigley Marley back for another shot at the title, updated classics like the Sondra Transmitter and Merida Big Trail, and 2 new bikes in the form of the Nuke-Proof Scout and B-Twin AM100. Once again, one bike stood head and shoulders above the competition. That bike is the VITUS SENTIER VR. With a lightweight alloy frame, dial geometry, and the best fork in its class, the VITUS easily secured its 4th win. In the sub 750 pound category, the quality of the bikes has really progressed, shifting away from the more traditional XC attitude that has dominated this category in the past. 29-inch wheels have taken hold, but one bike bucking the trend for bigger wheels, opting for fatter tyres instead, was the Trek Roscoe 8. Old habits die hard, however, and the front derailleur lives on to fight another day on the Saracen Zenith Pro and the Scott Aspect 930, even if both bikes have very different sizing and attitudes. Cannondale may have switched to a single ring drivetrain, but the slender alloy Trail 5 frame lacks standover clearance. There was no such issues on the Kona Mahuna, but it needs a 120mm fork to unlock its full potential. So even though all of the brands have raised their game, the VOODOO BIZANGO 29 worked its magic once again. No mean feat given that it was actually the cheapest bike by quite some margin. It was rinse and repeat in the sub 500 pound class too, with the VITUS NUCLEUS VR proving for the 4th year in a row that it's the only bike to buy if you have £500 to spend. Pinnacle Capur 2 and Calibre Ray both took the fight to VITUS, but neither really challenged its supremacy. The commuter-focused gearing on the Trek Marlin 6 held it back on the climbs, while the cable-actuated brakes transformed the Specialized Pitch Pro into a runaway train on the descents. And in the 500 pound class, that just leaves the KTM Chicago Classic. It comes with underpowered V-brakes and wasn't even in the running. In the sub 350 pound category, we were pleasantly surprised by the quality of the bikes. The GT Aggressor Sport has a classic triple triangle frame, but the specification was lacking. Next up, we had the giant ATX2 with a sculpted alloy frame that wouldn't look out of place on a 750 pound bike. Unfortunately, the fork lacked control. The fork was much better on the Saracen Tough Tracks, but the shifting was all over the place. We had no such issues with the specification on the Carrera Vulcan though, but the outdated frame couldn't keep up with the build kit. The frame on the Norco Storm 4 was perfectly proportioned, making the Norco ripe for upgrades. One bike in this category that requires no upgrades is the Calibre 2 Cubed. At 350 pound, it's simply unbeatable. It had the best sizing and geometry, the best fork and brakes, and the best drivetrain. It also had the best tyres and handling. It was heavily discounted when we tested it, but we still reckon it's worth the full asking price of £400 if your budget will stretch. So that's the highlights of our 2019 Hardtail of the Year test, but if you want to take a deeper dive into the test winners, be sure to watch our full reviews on all 4 bikes. These videos will be dropping soon, so stay tuned.